Hi everyone, welcome to Playdates and Travels, to our very first ever special. This is Cooking with Christina. I wanted to show what goes into a traditional Puerto Rican eggnog. It's called Coquito, and it's something that a lot of us have at the holiday time. If you don't know any Puerto Ricans, however, you might have never tried it, but it's absolutely delicious. You can use eggs or not use eggs. It's completely up to you. I choose to not put eggs in it because I don't find that doesn't really add too much extra flavor, to be honest. It's a lot of work. It's basically like making a custard almost, and it also reduces the shelf life. So I don't put eggs in it, but some people do. Some people put raisins in it, some people put cloves, but I'm going to show you what I do to make coquito. So basically you use a lot of milks, and the main component, you don't use sugar, but you use sweetened condensed milk. So I did get this can from my local grocery store. This is an alcoholic drink, so I do have some Bacardi Gold rum. You can use white rum as well. It's just up to your choice, or you can just substitute and not put rum at all to make it the non-alcoholic version for children. So I usually make 2 different batches, one for adults and one for children, so that my kids can enjoy the non-alcoholic version. But that's the sweetened condensed milk, that's the rum. You also need a can of cream of coconut. I prefer this brand, Coco Lopez. It's just a very delicious, creamy sense that gives you like kind of like what a real coconut would taste like. This is supposed to be a kind of a coconut mixed drink, but I happen to like this brand. You could also get Goya, for example, but it's a good one. You want some coconut milk to go along with that. So you have a can of this, can of that, can of that. And then the final can that you add is right here, and it is Carnation evaporated milk. Now, some recipes call for 12 ounces cans. I find 4 to 5 ounces is just enough, because any more than that, it kind of thins out your coquito, and I don't really like it too thin. I like it a little bit on the thicker side, so I think this 5-ounce can is just enough for the purposes of making this mixture. For additional garnish, you'll need some cinnamon sticks, so I do have some cinnamon sticks here. You can use them as garnish at the end when you're serving the drink, but also you want to put 2 cinnamon sticks at least into your mixture to help infuse that flavor. You also can put in some vanilla extract. It adds a little vanilla taste, just a little bit of this. You're going to be actually just putting in about 2 teaspoons total, or you can do 1, up to your choice. 2 ingredients that you'll need are ground nutmeg and ground cinnamon. So that's everything that goes into making a coquito. So let's go ahead and walk you through it. Then you're also going to need 1 empty bottle. I like to get the liquor bottle that's been emptied out, because you will use this as the pitcher to keep this fresh in your refrigerator when it's over. For the children, I usually put their non-alcoholic version in a glass jar. These glass jars work pretty well. As long as you can seal the top, then you're good to go. So the next part is pretty simple. You're just going to take your blender and you're going to pour every single ingredient into the blender. I like to start with the milks first and then top it off with the toppings. And once everything is put together, you let it blend for 1 to 2 minutes. Mix it up and then pour into your bottle and keep it cold overnight until it's ready to be served the next day. The very first thing you want to do is pour your rum into a pitcher, or I'm just using a measuring cup, and I put cinnamon sticks to infuse that flavor. You let that sit for a while, as long as you can, about a half an hour to an hour. So step 1, you plug in your blender. Step 2, you get your ingredients ready. So I've already taken the can top off of the cream with coconut. You can see it's very thick and consistent. I'm going to pour that into my blender. Next, I have the sweet condensed milk, and when you take the top off, it's very liquidy, but this is very thick, so don't let that fool you. Next is the cream. The coconut milk, super rich and creamy. Once the wet ingredients are in there, minus the rum, I like to focus on the dry ingredients, such as the nutmeg, the cinnamon, and vanilla. 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, only 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, now blend. So for the non-alcoholic version, you just pour directly into a jar. And seal that up. Shake well, put in the fridge. And the rest you pour into your bottle or bottles. Shake well to make sure it's nicely combined with the rum, back and forth. And then you put this both in the fridge, leave it overnight, and the next day you just pour them in individual glasses and garnish with cinnamon and coconut flakes. That's an optional thing, but it makes a nice taste. And that's Coquito. Now I'm going to go through the ingredients for a almond and pear tart. First, you're going to need about 2 cups of sweet white wine. I like Pinot Grigio. Water, I use about 4 cups. Then you'll have some granulated sugar. You need about 1 cup of that. 1 lemon, juiced and zested. Cinnamon sticks, just need 1. Vanilla beans, you just need 1 of those as well. And you will split it, which means run your knife through the side and get out the extra vanilla bean goodness. And then about 3 Bartlett pears with the stem on, and you will peel them. And those are all the ingredients. You're gonna need a tart pan, and here's the pie crust. I don't make it from scratch anymore because I find that this Pillsbury one works just fine. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to turn on the oven to 375 degrees and put the oven rack in the bottom third of the oven, and then here I am just buttering my tart pan. You want to get it all around the sides and the bottom. The next thing you want to do is you want to lightly dust a clean work surface with flour. Here I'm just using a cutting board, and you want to roll out your pastry dough into a circle within that 14-inch diameter. So I'm just basically stretching out the dough from the Pillsbury dough crust, and you want to use your rolling pin to kind of make it rolled out, not too thin, not too thick. And once you finish rolling it out flat, you transfer it to the pan, and you will then take the excess dough on the outside of the tart pan, trim that all away, you won't need that, and then transfer your pan to the freezer until firm. So you want to keep this in the freezer for about 15 minutes, because you want it to be nice and cold when it goes into the oven. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start to try to poach the pears. So in a large pan, you want to combine the wine, and then the water, the sugar, and the lemon juice, along with the zest. So what I'm doing here is I'm just pouring my wine. Again, you want 2 cups of that, so that's 1 cup that I just poured into this measuring cup, and then you're going to see me pour the second portion in just a second, and then I'm going to follow that with the 4 cups of water. Then you want to add your 1 cup of sugar, so you pour that into your pot as well. And next you're going to work on the lemon juice and zest. So you want to take this lemon and you cut it up, and this is what I'm doing here. I've just already cut it. I'm adding the cinnamon stick, I'm adding the split vanilla bean, the lemon zest, and then I am also squeezing in the individual pieces of lemon 1 by 1, and that's what makes your nice poaching pot to boil. And you cook that for 5 minutes before you add the pears. So you guys can see that I cook a little messy, but I've just peeled each of the pears and I left the stem on because it's easier to pick them up. So you have your boiling pot, you want to add all your pears, and once all 3 pears are inserted into your pot of boiling water, you want to lower the temperature down to a simmer and just let that cook for about 20 to 30 minutes until when you pierce them with the tip of the knife, they're very, very tender. So next part, you're going to start the frangipan part, and you're going to take some slivered almonds and you're going to add them to a food processor and grind those together. Then you're going to add some sugar, egg, rum, almond extract, and flour, and beat until smooth. So this is me pouring the almonds into the food processor and then pulsing them until they're nicely ground. So after you finish grinding your almonds, you set them aside, and you want to take about 4 ounces of butter, just one whole stick, and cube them up if it's cold, and then put that into a mixing bowl, and then you want to add sugar. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a half cup of granulated sugar right now, and you want to beat the butter and the sugar together about 2 minutes until they're light and fluffy, and then you want to go ahead and add the ground almonds. So you've already added the almond mixture that we had set aside before, and here I am adding some rum into this mixture. So you want about 3 tablespoons of dark rum, and I divide them, which means I just do it one at a time. And then the next thing I want to add is a teaspoon of almond extract and 1 large whole egg. And you just add that all into your mixing bowl of your stand mixer. And then finally you add 1 tablespoon of flour, and you mix that together until smooth. So this is what it looks like once it's all mixed. Then you're going to spread that evenly into your chilled tart. So this is me just taking the tart out of the freezer, and I'm spreading in the frangipane almond mixture all the way in the bottom of this tart. That's going to become the base. And then the final step is just taking the pears out of that poached liquid, and now you're going to cut them each in half lengthwise. This is me just taking off the stem tops. You no longer need those. But you want to cut these in half the long way, and then you want to remove the core. And then you're going to place each half with the cut side down on a cutting board, and you're going to cut crosswise into thin slices. So that's just me showing how you're supposed to cut it. And at this point, once you've cut all your slices, you want to grab it and try to arrange it around the edge of the tart. So that's me putting it on the frangipane part. And then I'm going to space them out so that I can leave a space in between each half. And it creates kind of like a star shape. And once you have that, you can take some extra pear and just put that basically in the center of your tart to create that nice design. Once you have your finished tart, you want to bake until the tart shell is golden brown and the frangipane is puffed and brown. And that takes about 40 to 45 minutes. And sometimes I find the tart pan does leak, so I like to put it in another baking pan to prevent that from happening. It'll catch any extra leakage. So that's just me putting it into the oven to keep it nice and safe. And that's what it looks like when it comes out. And I did not show it in my video, but once I have it nice and cooled, I then like to just melt some apricot jam with rum in a small saucepan over medium heat. And I brush that warm over the oven pears and the rum glaze, and that's what it looks like. Gives a nice extra taste. Homemade tart. Ta-da!